Oh, would you prefer there be no black people?
No, I don't care one way
You
or
don't
the
care.
other. I don't want to be around them.
Sure.
Personnes secourues se trouvent dans une situation d'urgence absolue. Les prévisions météo indiquent une détérioration significative du climat. Pas du tout. C'est violence.
Me, Russian. While we're having fun, our alcohol neighbor passes by us. He is Russian. He looks at me. He narrows his eyes with his fingers and calls me Marika.
They dragged us out and told us this train going to Poland is specifically for Ukrainians only.
Вы расист? Нет. Нет.
Нет.
Нет.
Скажем так, в каждой нации...
А почему расист?
Ненавижу индусов. Очень грязно, очень вонючие, очень любят готовить с пахучими вещами и не убирать за собой.
People wiggers try and act black. They look silly.
What was the term?
Wigger.
So what does that mean? A white?
Yes.
Belong to African migrants. They said that they were attacked last night precisely because they are not South African.
From India seeking to cross from Ukraine to Poland reported they were told to go to Romania instead.
I think that Korean people are more upper than the Indonesian people.
What, more what?
And if suddenly you are curious what Marika means, it means a Marie female, and the Mari people are people who mainly live in the Republic of Mariel, north of the Republic of Bashkortostan.
Some countries are very accepting and welcoming of people of different races, ethnicities, and nationalities. Others are less so. While it is difficult to accurately measure how racist a country is, there are ways to give us a general idea of how prevalent racism is and how one country stacks up to another. One way is to ask countries to report on how many racist attacks occur within its borders, but there are still many countries that do not even collect data on racism and discrimination of minorities, mostly for fear it would make them look bad to the rest of the world. Some countries that are dedicated to fighting racism may employ better systems to report and record racism. Unfortunately, this would mean that they record more racist attacks. It doesn't necessarily mean that racism has increased within that country. For instance, in countries that don't bother to classify attacks against minorities as racist crimes or hate crimes, those countries would report low levels of racism. It doesn't mean that no racist attacks take place in that country. It just gets bungled in with regular crime. That's why it's extremely important to interpret the data in a manner that's fair, while also not dismissing the experiences of the individuals reporting those attacks.
The assumption is that Black Muslims are not Muslim enough or authentically Muslim enough.
In a new report compiled by the European Union, it was found that racist violence and xenophobia attacks have increased significantly in at least 8 EU countries. The latest data shows increases in recorded racist crimes in the UK, Germany, Denmark, France, Slovakia, and Ireland. The report also shows a decrease in racist attacks reported in Austria, Sweden, and the Czech Republic. The report also acknowledges that many European countries collect no data on racist crimes, while the UK has employed a new comprehensive system which was able to collect more reports of racist crime in the past year than all the other 26 EU countries combined. Again, this does not mean that all the other EU countries experienced fewer racist crimes. It just means that the UK is dedicated to finding and recording those crimes with its new comprehensive system. The report also covers other aspects of racist discrimination in the EU, like unemployment, which also remained higher for minorities and immigrants than for the general population. It's reported that having an Arabic or African-sounding name or accent can hurt a job applicant's job prospects, according to research conducted in Sweden. Another form of open discrimination is in the housing market, where advertisements are regularly placed stating, "No foreigners." The problems are exacerbated for immigrants that do not have the necessary legal documents. Without legal papers, they are often taken advantage of and forced to work for wages that are way below the minimum wage, particularly in the domestic and farming sectors.
6 days a week, 16 hours a day. Daly has filmed herself at work for us with her cell phone.
They put me in a 2 by 3 meter basement room. I don't have a window. It's demeaning.
The report also found that racist discrimination in education is still a problem.
Ja, men kom igen! Hur länge har du bott i Sverige? Vad heter det?
Ursäkta, jag kan inte stanna här.
Det gör du! Du sitter ner här! Du sitter ner här!
Jag kan inte, jag kräver.
Du kan inte! Du spy! Varsågod! Men du får torka upp dig själv.
Rosanna?
Du har ingenstans att gå. Du är fast. Du kan inte, jag kan inte, jag kan inte.
Jag rädslar.
Vad är det?
Jag är afraid.
Är du rädd?
Ja.
Men vad är det? Vad gör man när man är rädd?
Vad är det?
Vad är rädd? Ja, men kom igen, gråt. Vad gör man när man är rädd? Vad gör man då? Vad gör man? Vad gör man? Kom igen!
While all EU countries have pledged to provide education to all, some issues still remain. For instance, children who do not speak the native language might struggle to find decent education. The report also found that the segregation of minorities is still occurring in some countries. It's also been reported that half of all Roma children in the Czech Republic have been placed in special needs schools.
For children with learning disabilities. Among its more than 100 pupils aged 5 to 18, but the majority are Roma children, few with any obvious disability. Roma make up 8% of Hungary's 10 million people.
Another recent survey by the EU's rights agency found that racism against people of African descent was on the rise, with some of the worst results recorded in Austria and Germany, where far-right parties, some with ties to the former Nazi Party, have been on the rise.
A woman who stood up to hundreds of neo-Nazis in Sweden hopes her gesture will highlight the fight against racism in the country.
In Austria and Germany, 75% said they had felt discriminated against in the last 5 years.
Far-right flags and banners combined with a winning mood. For some in Germany, a sign of protest. For others, an unpleasant sight.
I won't let myself be insulted as being a Nazi because I'm sympathising with the AfD.
Sonneberg is part of Thüringen in the former East Germany, a region with a strong AfD base. One of its leaders has been charged with using Nazi slogans that are banned.
A quarter of black people indicated that someone made offensive or threatening comments to their child in person because of their ethnic or immigrant background. Almost 2 out of 5 parents in Ireland, 39%, Germany and Finland, both 38%, and Austria, 37%, reported such experiences. France, Luxembourg, and Portugal saw black people reporting less racism. While these reports only cover racism in EU countries, researchers have found clever ways to try and gauge the levels of racism in other countries around the world. In the Standard of Living Survey, which measures the rising standards of living in countries around the world, they added 2 key questions to try and get an idea of how much racism still persists. Researchers have asked the question, have you personally ever witnessed any forms of racism within your home country? This question forces the individual to recall what they have witnessed directly instead of what they have heard from someone else. Would you prefer to have neighbors of the same race or neighbors of another race? Or does it not matter to you which race your neighbors are? While there's no guarantee that people won't lie, the willingness to openly state that you do not want neighbors of a different race clearly shows that racism has become normalized in that country, to where people feel comfortable enough to answer in such a manner. These questions were determined to get the most honest responses when trying to gauge the level of racism from individuals of different cultures, races, and communities around the world. It is also important to note that different methods sometimes lead to different results, so researchers would combine the results to get a more accurate reading. So which countries are the most racist? India ranks as the most racist country according to studies. Located in southern Asia, India is the second most populous country on Earth, with roughly 1.3 billion people. According to the surveys, the country's residents display considerable intolerance for people with darker skin, whether they are of foreign descent, particularly African, or simply darker-skinned Indians. India has little immigration and very few foreigners. As a result, most of its people are of Indian descent themselves. This detail is considered to be a major contributing factor to racism in India. People who live in countries where they are used to seeing and interacting with people of different races find it easier to integrate with those of a different race or nationality. 44% of Indians who took the survey said that they would not be comfortable with neighbors who were of a different culture, ethnicity, or race. And 64.3% of Indians also reported that they were either discriminated against or had personally witnessed discrimination in their home country. The second racist country is Lebanon, whose population is split nearly 50-50 between Christians and Muslims. It is another country whose population is comprised mostly of people of the same ethnicity. This low level of diversity means Lebanon citizens are typically opposed to mingling with people of other races because they are simply not used to seeing people of different races and ethnicities. Third on the list of most racist countries is Bahrain, a country in the Persian Gulf and just off the coast of Saudi Arabia. Nearly 50% of people in Bahrain are of Bahraini descent, and Indians make up the highest percentile of immigrants. 31% said they would not like neighbors of a different race, while 86% said they have recently witnessed an incident of racial discrimination. Libya follows in fourth place. The majority of people in Libya are Arabic. Other ethnic groups included in Libya's population are Tunisians, Egyptians, Dawada, Italians, Maltese, Greeks, Pakistanis, Turks, and Indians. The study found that 54% of people in Libya's group would not be okay with living next door to people of another race, whereas 39.7% of the population said that they've either been the victim or witnessed discriminatory behavior in Libya. Egypt comes in at number 5. People born and raised in Egypt account for 91%. Other countries that scored high in racism are Serbia.
Hi. Would you prefer to date a foreign guys or Serbian guys?
Serbian guys.
Why Serbian?
I'm so traditional. I don't have an answer why, but it's like something in my blood.
Serbian guy.
Why Serbian guy?
Because they speak Serbian.
Is a Serbian guy or a foreign guy?
Serbian guys.
Why Serbian guy?
Because they are the nice looks, the best looks, and because they have a good personality.
Serbian guy, of course.
Why Serbian guy? Tell me.
I don't know, it's our mentality. Serbian guy.
Serbian guy.
Why Serbian?
I don't know, they're just more manly.
Maybe Serbian guy. Serbian guy.
Why Serbian guy?
Because of the same religion and I just like Serbian men more.
Serbian guy.
Guy.
Serbian guy.
For me, honestly, it doesn't matter.
Serbian guy. 100%.
Why Serbian guy?
Because we can understand each other better.
Qatar.
Small Arab state nestled on the northeastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula and is said to be the richest country in the world per capita, as well as one of the safest countries in the world.
Saudi Arabia, Iran, Israel, Myanmar, United Arab Emirates, Russia, El Salvador, and Sri Lanka. According to the map, The darker blue means your country is more racist, while the lighter the color, the less racist your country is. Gray means no data is available for those countries. Countries that don't mind neighbors of another race are the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Latin America. Hong Kong, South Africa, Algeria, Nigeria, and Japan hovered at around 20% for citizens that do not want neighbors of another race. Countries with the overall lowest rates of racism include Finland, Sweden, Canada, and Norway. Keep in mind that we cannot discount the voices and experiences of individuals who have encountered racism in countries that scored low on the racism list, or whose encounters may not have been captured by official statistics at all. We still have a long way to go in solving the problem of racial discrimination. Combating racism is going to require a multi-layered approach that is driven by data. A good start would be by opening a dialogue, by having discussions across various cultures and borders, by promoting diversity, and directly challenging discriminatory practices so that we can strive towards a more inclusive and equitable society for all.
There'll be those who will not look beyond the picture of me shaking hands with a Klansman. Some of their beliefs are that African Americans, black people, are born with smaller brains.
Daryl Davis has spent decades befriending members of the Ku Klux Klan. And Daryl has repeatedly asked members of the Klan,
How can you hate me when you don't even know me?
His conversations with Klansmen resulted in something Daryl never expected.
I would find things in common. And as I built upon those commonalities, a relationship was formed. 200
members across the country have left the KKK as a direct result of his involvement.
I consider Frank to be my friend.
I consider Daryl to be my friend as well.
Qual è buona?
Lei.
Quale è cattiva? Perché è cattiva?
Perché tutto nero.
Hate is a very destructive thing. That hate is going to go inward and it's going to destroy you from the inside out. I've did a lot of terrible things and God gave me another chance. I'm in love with this woman. I'm happy to be married to this woman and I want everybody to know that.
No, you know the only thing that kills a demon? Love.
Only love can kill the demon. Hold that thought.